Hello and welcome my fellow modelers to another how-to YouTube from me, an attempt at a maintenance explanation. Now, you will probably be aware if you've watched other videos in my channel that these old Triang EMUs are a favourite of mine and my dad's, and they've been with us for very many years, and I thought I'd learnt pretty much how to service them to a good degree to keep them running. However, despite doing all the normal tricks, sometimes we get running like this. And this is despite keeping everything clean, doing the motor services, and making sure that the oil is correctly applied to the all-important wheel bearings of the motor bogie. So I've now flipped over the unit we just saw. As you can see, the wheels are nice and clean, and the backs of the wheels for the contact strip. Now the all-important bearings are under this plate here and here. So we'll just open her up and have a look. Okay, so we've taken the bottom plate off, it was just those two screws, and we can now see the wheels, which just lift out like that. And the all-important bearing that I keep saying is all-important is this one here. That's part of the chassis plot. Now the reason I keep saying it's all-important is because if this wears, you get rock on the wheels, which breaks the contact, because this is the negative return through the chassis to the motor, and so wear in there is a real nuisance. So keeping it well oiled is vital. However, I have noticed that we get a build-up of black carbony deposits, particularly in the bearing kernels themselves, and I needed something to clean that out. Now I could just keep cleaning it and re-oiling it, but it builds up again. So I went back to something that I've not used for a very long time, and this is Pico Power Lube, or Electra Lube as it was called when I first encountered it back in the 80s, I think it was. Now it promises to clean the contact area, lubricate and keep clean, which sounds fantastic. Now we used this once back on some locomotives with split chassis and other types of motors, as I say, back in the 80s, and because it is so very thin and viscous, it tracks everywhere and makes perfect contact and shorts out mechanisms. So we decided never ever to use it again because it was so dreadful, the damage it caused, and I think the locos had to have baths in methylated spirits to clear their mechanisms of the stuff. So I'd sort of never consider using it again, until I thought about our mechanisms we have here, which are incredibly simple. Doesn't matter if it tracks too much really, because the only place it can go is up towards the worm drive. The only place it could potentially cause a problem if it was to track along the axle up onto the surface of the wheel, and when you'd get it on the tracks then. But then they say that you can use it on the tracks. Never been one that would trust that sort of thing, because you're going to lose adhesion, and I think it would still cause dirt. But by and by, I think it's going to be worth a shot on these mechanisms, because it will keep them lubricated and clean. Now what I'm going to do is, using this motorised metal brush, sort of little thing you can get, I'm going to do a one-off clean in the actual bearing housing. Not too much because I don't want to actually wear it, but just enough to get any carbon deposits away. I should do the same on the axles, making sure they're clean, and then I'll give it a treatment with the Electra Lube and see how it runs. remove all the old oil. We don't want oil going on the cleaning brush. Now, these wheels were originally the thicker Hornby type replacements, and then they were turned down to make them more scale profile. And when you put them back, you want to look at the ends. One end, that one there, has a plastic bush, and that end is just metal on metal. So that goes away from the pickup strip. So that you've got your bushed end this side ready for the pickup to go against it. But first we've got to apply a little bit of that Electrolube oil. Now, because I mistrust this oil, we are using just a tiny drop, but it's probably all you need anyway. And I'm going to use a pin just to squeeze a drop out. Can you see that drop on the end of the pin? I'm not sure. And then just put it over that axle there. Same the other side. Quite a lot there came out, we don't want too much. But it is prone to track because it is very, very thin. I think viscous is the correct word, or is that the wrong word? I'm not sure. Anyway, now I'm going to apply a bit of normal oil to the pinions. That'll go back up onto the worms. And then I'm going to reassemble and give it a try. So we have the motor coach back on the track, having been reassembled, and let's see how she responds. Oh, that's pretty good, isn't it? Well, I think that's a good difference, so it remains to be seen how the Electrolube performs, but if it does what it says on the tin, or the cardboard packet, then it should clean and lubricate and prevent that build-up of carbon. So keep tuned and you'll see these units very soon in a special video. Cheers then.